and welcome to another episode of Garden to Table with Rose, and I am Rose. And here we are. It is Sunday morning, May 19th. I'm in Kalamazoo, Michigan, Zone 6A, and finally I am getting around to my second garden tour of this season, and everything has exploded in growth, so I needed to get out here and get this done. I usually like to come out a little bit earlier when it's not as bright from the sun. I have been so exhausted from all the work I've been doing. I could not get up as early as usual today, so I slept in a bit. But I do want to do this before things should go completely out of bloom. But I'm going to try as I might to keep this relatively short because I want to include the back in this video. Usually I do two separate videos for the front and back, but I'm going to try to do it all in one today. Alright, so I'm standing in front of my garage. Let me try to do a slow pan here of what's happening. Everything is filling in. I think the last video everything was short, just starting to come up, but now you see how crowded it is. And then the biggest change has been that new area I was working on over there. Over there. We'll get to that in a minute. But that's what's been keeping me exhausted the last few days. I have been removing grass, and it doesn't look like much that wedge, but that is a big space. And it was a lot of grass that I removed by hand with a shovel. And it was a job that, like I said, took several days. But the grass is finally gone. I put down my little brick border around the edge. And what you see there is all dirt, and I started planting. I do have a load of mulch coming, so that when everything gets planted and everything gets come up out of the ground from the rest of the garden, I'll put fresh mulch and it'll look fantastic. But this is going to be a perennial and annual flower garden, basically shrubs and flowers. So but it'll tie the whole house together, obviously, to have that side of the driveway complete. So let me go over here, and I think I'll just kind of point out any big changes, because like I said, I'm trying to do these in a shorter amount of time. Everything here is growing. As you can see, these spirea are going to flower soon. Look how huge they are. I mean, maybe you can't see it from a video, but I am telling you, these things are like 4 feet wide, each one. They're huge. I did not cut them down last year because I wanted to see how big they would ultimately get, but they are big. I got one of my new fountains set up here. They are wonderful. It's I can't remember the brand. It might be Bernini, not sure, but I got them from QVC, and it's plastic, some kind of resin, but it's heavier than the typical plastic fountain. So it's a fairly heavy material. It looks really good. The color, the texture is nice, and most importantly, it's battery operated. It operates on 4D batteries, and there's just a tiny little pump in this part that's standing up here, and it has a timer on it, so mine comes on at a certain time, and then I let it. Mine goes for about 4 hours. You can set how long you want it to run. They say if you use it only 1 hour a day, which I don't know who would get a fountain just to use 1 hour a day, that it will last you for 200 hours or 200 days. I use mine for 3 or 4 hours. I think it stays on a day, kind of in the middle of the day, and I love it. I also have one in the back because I created a little serene space back there, which hopefully I'll get to as well. I just have a few annuals in these pots. I've said before, I struggle with these pots and the window boxes because they're in shade, I guess. Nothing wants to grow in them very well, except for maybe a petunia. I did just order some shade-loving perennials that are hardy down to like a zone 3 or 4. So I'm gonna try those in these pots and in the window boxes. I can't remember the name of the shrubs, but I'll show them in the next video to see if they will come back each year, and I can just leave those in there and not worry about these, because I've tried so many flowers, shrubs, bulbs, whatever in these things. They've all died. Anyway, so we'll see. Anyway. Yeah, so we'll see What happens with those window boxes? I got a couple of things here that are going in that new section over there. One is that it's a golden smoke bush, and then this is a dappled kind of willow, and both of those are going over on the other side. This is an old school hydrangea, I believe a Annabelle, maybe PG or PG. Yeah, a PG, I think. And I'm going to limb that up, or I have been, but I haven't worked on it yet this season. But the idea is to get this into a tree form. And then let me see, in terms of what's new going on over here. This is the raised bed that I got kind of as an add-on very cheaply when I bought my big ones in the back. It's sitting dormant because I am trying to solarize some of this grass that I dug up in here, or let it turn to mulch, and it will turn to mulch because I've done it before, but it was like about a year. So I'm just going to leave this dormant for the season, and then next year I will plant in it. But around it, which is still looking a little bit of a mess, so ignore that, I still have to dig out this grass, some of this grass, because what I did over here, since it's a small space, I just dug the grass and flipped it over, and I kind of let it die that way, and then just kind of dig the dirt up and mix it up and call it a day. But of course, you know, whenever you leave grass, those rhizomes are still under the ground, and they spread out the roots of grass, and it will come back no matter if you don't get it, pull it all out to the root. And so I'm going to dig out this section of the grass and get rid of this section that's in front of that bed, and these pieces that are in between the stepping stones that I just put here. But I still planted some stuff here because it was time to plant it. So these are mum cuttings that I ordered, and these I think I got online from Firma Bailey, which is where I get my Lysianthus. There's a line of mums there. I have more mums cutting, and I want to put more mum cuttings coming. Oh, and I want to put them in this spot. So that's why I need to get this grass dug out. They'll be shipped next week, I believe. And on this side, which I'm not digging, right? I'm not digging this little row, and I'm not digging this little row, which that side has cutting mums. This side, I have a bunch of cosmos in the back. All those little things you see sticking up back there are cosmos with a few blades of grass. And then these are all tomatillos. Why did I put tomatillos here? Because I couldn't figure out anywhere else to put them, and they need to be put into the ground, the seedlings. So I put them here, and the color will blend in perfectly with all this green and chartreuse. Yeah, so that's what's going to be on this side, and then this center is going to be the cutting mums, which should be perennials, and so I should not really have to plant much here, maybe some annuals. As you can see, this yarrow, is this yarrow? I think this is a different kind of yarrow that I just planted for the first time. The leaves are different. But there are 3 big ones. As I told you, you've heard my story about yarrow, and it doesn't matter what kind of yarrow it is. It grows like gangbusters. It takes over. So those probably will be coming out. I'm getting rid of all the yarrow, probably in the front, and ultimately I'll just have a small little patch in my cutting flower garden in the back, because yarrow gets just crazy. I can't leave it in for more than 2 seasons. And then it again has these rhizomes, or yeah, I guess you call them rhizomes, or maybe they're called stolons. I don't know, one or the other, but they spread everywhere, and so then you get little ones popping up, like literally that came from the big ones underground, like you see there. And then I got to go around and pull all that out. Now this had a bunch of yarrow that I pulled out, and I have planted. Get myself out of the way. I found more candy tuft, so I was excited about that. I love this stuff. But I found some at my local nursery, and then I have planted some annuals in here. There's some calendula and probably something else in here. I can't tell you what, but annuals. And then I had those bulbs of the red hot poker, but it's green, and those are in here. I have yet to see them come up, but I kind of did a semicircle with those on the edge there. So they get really tall, and they're perennials, so I think that'll be pretty. once it all comes in. Now, oh my God, look at that right there. That lemony lace elderberry, that thing is absolutely beautiful. That color is so vibrant. And then the tips of the new growth, it like has a pinkish orangish color at the tips. But I love mixing that color in with all these greens. It just breaks it up and it's just so pretty. Another thing I really like mixing in is anything variegated. This Rose of Sharon tree here, which when I ordered it, it said it was red, and when it flowered, it was pink the first year, and then I think purple the second year. It just keeps changing colors. So, and I don't, maybe that has to do with the acidity of the soil. No idea, but it wasn't a red one, I can tell you that. But it does have beautiful foliage, and it's full of flowers when it blooms for a couple of weeks. And so I really like that Rose of Sharon, and I will keep it. There is something in here that I'm going to move today. Try not to step on my cosmos. This, which I thought was dead, I planted this 2 years ago. Never grew. This is a variegated Wagila. Look how pretty those little blooms are. But anyway, I'm moving this over to the new little plot that I dug up, because that's going to be kind of an English garden thing. So I'm doing pinks, whites, purple, blues over there, and this would fit perfectly. And maybe it'll like it better over there because it took 3 years for it to finally show its face over here. So I'm gonna take that out and move it. Plus, as you can see, it is full in here. I mean, I came out here in the beginning of the season, you hardly see anything. Most of these things, it seems like, die down to the ground and then they just explode, and it is a whole nature preserve or something. So anyway, I have trimmed all of my fruit trees, or pruned them I should say, because they were starting to get crazy, and I like to keep the fruit trees short so that I can harvest if I have any. Now I don't know this season with the weather changes, I don't know if I'm getting any peaches, because my peach tree started blooming early, then it got cold, and so they had only put out a couple of flowers. Then it got cold and all the flowers disappeared. I didn't know if they were going to bloom again at some point, but apparently they didn't, because this one, I know this is a Saturn peach, and it produced prolifically last year. I see one peach, one little baby peach on the whole tree. So I'm not happy about that, but there's nothing I can do. You know, that's how fruit trees are. Some years it's great, some years I guess it's not too great. But my goal is to keep them in this goblet shape and keep them healthy. And then next year, I'm sure there'll be more peaches. Also, these lupines that I planted from seed are coming up. I'm excited. I don't think I've ever grown lupine, so I'm excited to see how those look once they actually bloom. I did transplant all those rosemaries up here, and some of them look like they're half dead and some of them look like they're doing good. Here's one that is looking sad, but it's still green, so there's hope. But those will stay out here this year. They'll die off in the winter, and then I'll have new ones for next season. There's more of the lupines coming up there. This mass here, there's a row of barberry in the back, where you see that bright yellow, and then two more. Those are barberries, which turn beautiful colors in the fall. In front of the barberries are kind of a swoop of hydrangeas. So there's different hydrangeas. There are some oak leaves, as you see here. And these two might be ruby slippers here, but oak leaves are called oak leaves because they have leaves that look like oak leaf trees. And the leaves turn colors in the fall. They turn red, kind of like an oak leaf would. And they bloom on old wood, so you generally don't cut those. These are all pinnacle types, so they bloom on new wood, so you could cut them back. And I don't think I have done much cutting back, just wayward limbs and cutting off the spent blooms, because I had just put them in and they were pretty tiny and I want them to get, bigger. And then I have some special ones. I have the puffer fish, which is a relatively new proven winners hydrangea that has these little wisps that come at the top of the flower, which is pretty cool. And then I have an old school Annabelle. I think that's it right there, this big circular bush. I have that, and then I have my moon rocket, I believe they're called, hydrangeas, which were blooming easy. I love those. I moved the little red maple tree I had in here because it was getting obviously obscured by all of this stuff. These things you see sticking up that look like, I don't even know what they look like, cabbage leaves or something. Those are all bupleurum from seeds that I scattered everywhere last year. I love bupleurum. It's one of my favorite cut flower filler, bouquet fillers. So it's popping up wherever I've scattered seeds. I didn't plant any this year, and so I'm glad to see it came back, or I would have limited filler. This little Bosnian pine or whatever it is doing well. The cotton candy, I'll walk over to that side, but the cotton candy maple there is doing well. The variegation is coming back to the leaves, so that one seems to love it here. The red one, I'll show you where I moved it. These are also easy roses that are starting to bloom, and that's the paprika color, I believe. I just got those on clearance, so I have a couple of them. I think I had 3. Maybe one died or I pulled it out because of whatever reason, but I see 2. There's one there and there's one there. But yeah, I had 3, I think, because I usually buy plants in 3s. Lots of salvia, different colors. Some of it I bought as little starts, and some of it I actually grew from seed, which I'm always shocked when I grow a perennial from seed because it seems like that's difficult for me. But anyway, look how big it's getting already. I mean, look at this. This thing is so big that it's at least 3 feet wide already. It seems like these things shoot up overnight. And here is foxglove, I believe. Yeah, foxgloves. And I bought these actually potted from my local nursery last year. They flowered last year and they're flowering again this year. I don't know if they'll continue to flower after this, but they may drop seeds and then I'll have more. This one looks like it's going to be white, but I love those behind this fence because it gives that that country cottage English garden look. And then there are some on the other side that are also starting to bloom. These are my what are these? Little lime? No. See, there's Limelight Prime. They're not Limelight Prime. They're the one that's one size smaller. So maybe they're called Little Lime. I'm not sure. But that's what they are. They're the ones that's one size smaller than the Limelight Prime. So those are hydrangeas that I am limbing up into tree form. These are coral bells that are a Proven Winners brand. Coral, I can't remember the cultivar, but it's a very bright purple. I was trying to keep purples and pinks over here as well. Here's the other hydrangea and another one of the same salvias or whatever that is that I planted on the other side, which I believe I planted those from seeds. And there's the other foxgloves, and there's the white one there. Now, I thought my beauty berry bushes were dead, but they are not, thank goodness. There is one coming up, and the beauty berry produces these little purple berries in the fall and winter. So it's a beautiful little shrub, and it complements my color scheme. This is just something I moved here. It's a perennial, but I can't remember. It's something like a yarrow. It grows pretty rapidly, but not as bad as yarrow. And I can't remember the name, but I have a couple of these. I think I have one in the back too, and I've just moved them around over time wherever I had a gap. As you can see, this clematis is climbing. I have to come out here once a week and kind of push it through the holes to try to get it to go up, and just kind of trim off any scragglers because it wants to go everywhere. I mean, it wants to spread. And then over here I did prune all of the fruit trees, like I said, and nut trees. So these are my apricot and nectarcots. They're doing well. My butterfly bush, no, actually this is a rosemary, and it was not doing well. One that I brought back outside, so I cut it all the way down, and there is new growth, so that one might be okay. Here is the butterfly bush that's yellow flowers. It gets huge, and I cut that all the way down to the ground because I waited until I saw new growth. Nothing was growing on the old canes. They looked dried out and dead, so I cut those off, and apparently this blooms on new wood, so that's that. Arelias, they have a nice little pink flower that blooms on that one. Shasta daisies, and another huge yarrow. Another one of the rosemaries that I bought out. This one looks sad, but it's not dead yet. I am at a loss as to what's happened to my persimmon trees. There's no activity. I scratched the bark. It's still green, but nothing. No leaves, no nothing. They were growing fine for 2 years. This is the 3rd year and nothing. So I am not going to take them out until I'm sure they're dead. But that would be pretty sad if they died, because I put 2 years of time into trying to grow these. Now look, there's leaves on this one. Let me see if I can zoom in. There's leaves coming up at the bottom of the bark on this one, which is weird. I'm pretty sure persimmons don't die back to the ground, because these have been here for 2 years and got bigger and bigger. So I don't know what's happening. We'll see. Okay. These over here are more like salvias and butterfly bushes I have. These little pugster butterfly bushes are on this whole line. Different colors. Look at this ornamental oregano. Oh, so beautiful, that color. Anyway, my cherry blossom tree is so tall. Look at how tall that tree is. Oh my God. I can't even tell you how many feet that is now. Maybe 10 feet. It's twice as tall as me. Okay, maybe not 10 feet. I'm 5'7", so it's about 9 feet. But it's huge. I can't wait till it flowers. I have not yet seen it flower. Roses. The roses are coming back, thank goodness. My clematis, both of them came back. At first I thought I had lost this one on the left, but it, as we can see, is coming back too, although it's tinier than the other one. But these are Duchess of Edinburgh, and they do a big white flower. Very nice. Oh, I wanted to show you up close the variegated maple, because it is so pretty. Look at it. I mean, it's just gorgeous. I don't know how else to describe it. I've never seen a maple tree that looks like this. And it's supposed to stay fairly small. Everything I buy is supposed to stay small, or either I'm gonna make sure it stays small by pruning it. But lots of roses over here that I got on clearance last year for like $5. I usually get most of my roses from Perkins and Jackson, or Jackson and Perkins, one of those. It's an online store that just mainly does roses. They do other stuff too, but it's mainly roses. I usually order from them. I usually wait till they're clearancing out the roses, which would be about now, because usually people plant roses at the end of winter. And then I stock up. This big, huge, I don't know if this is catmint or what it is, but as you can see, this purple thing is ginormous. So it really likes it over here. Whatever it is pretty, and it has these beautiful purple blooms on it. I'm sure the bugs will be all over this later on today. But oh man, that is beautiful, and it's so big. I think it's like 5 feet wide. It's huge. I did put a little cage around my hosta because something was gnawing on the leaves, as you can see, probably a bunny. But you see that something took some big bites out of my leaves, either a bunny or a deer. This I'm a little worried about. This is, I think, a hydrangea, maybe invincible lace. I see a sign. But these are 2 hydrangeas, this one and that one over there. And this has some weird spots on it, which is weird because hydrangeas don't usually, at least here, I have not seen them usually get any kind of weird diseases or spots or fungus or any of that. So I don't know what's going on. We'll see what happens. If it continues to spread, I may have to cut that one back down to the ground and just wait. Hopefully it comes back next year. This might be a dogwood or something, or actually I think this is a spirea, a white one. It's pretty. I like it. I haven't weed whacked. I've been busy digging up grass. I haven't had a chance, but I will get to it. I got sweet spire, 2 of them over here. They're different varieties, but Here's one and there's one. They're probably proven winners. I get a lot of proven winners plants because they literally are proven winners, meaning in my experience, they do well. They're not prone to disease. They don't die off like other things I plant. They just are a pretty consistently stable brand. Their products, you know, and they're a little bit more expensive, but I can see why, because many things I've bought that have just died, I've lost lots of money that way. And so with proven winners though, very few of their things have I ever lost. And then I got lots of euphorbia in there. I had to pull a lot of it out because it got so big that it's like split in the middle and just flopped down, the flowers on it. So I cut a lot of the branches off that had flowers and just left the greenery. But it does put out a beautiful, these aren't even fully bloomed yet, but it puts out a beautiful yellow like little flower at the end, and it makes a good cut flower bouquet filler as well. So there's lots of that, and it spreads, by the way. That hydrangea with the black stems that I thought was dead, Zorro I think it was called, it's not dead. Look at that. It has a little green sprout on it. So let's hope it comes back, because that is a very unique hydrangea and I would like to have it in the garden. Alright, so I'm gonna go around to the other side. The fruit trees on this side, you know, they're doing what they do. I don't know, I can't remember if they flowered. I know the pear trees did. The apple trees, I'm not sure if they flowered. I need to spray all my fruit trees. It's time for the second spring. Yeah, because otherwise bugs are just eating the leaves up and everything. This over here is a stand of Baptisia that's been here since I started this bed. But it's beautiful. It's kind of rust color, burgundy-ish, and it's blooming. So there's not a lot blooming yet. There are a lot of things getting ready to bloom. Yeah, so here I have a series of 4 trees. 2 are almonds and 2 are chestnuts. Don't ask me which is which, because none of them have actually given me any nuts yet. But I did trim them all up. Behind the stuff in the front, at the corner of this arbor on both sides is an oak leaf hydrangea, which will give me some pretty color in the fall. Here's one, and they're doing well, and they got part shade from all this other stuff. At the oak leaves, I don't think like a lot of direct sun, it seems to me. They like kind of part sun, so they seem to do well over there. Another Shasta daisy. The Shasta daisies will eventually all come out too. You know, they're kind of placeholders, so as I get new things or add things or things start to get mature, then I pull out the placeholders, which are things that usually I grew from seed. I mean, I grow Shasta daisies from seed, the yarrows from seed, so it's cheap and easy. Another one of the rosemaries I put here, and then this is where I moved the maple, so let's hope it does well here. It's a little more open here, so I figured to get a little more sun, but I didn't think it probably wanted full sun. I wasn't sure, so I just kind of put it between these 2 trees. It's getting a lot of direct sun because these 2 trees are not very big, and the sun comes from the east that way and goes this way, so it gets a lot of sun during the day. We'll see how it does there. It's just, it grows very slowly, so I'm just trying to keep it alive until it gets its bearings about it. Another Shasta daisy, and my snowball viburnum is almost done. As you can see, it's going out, it's dropping its little petals, and once it's done, I'm gonna limit up a little bit more. I think I did some pruning on it when I was doing the fruit trees, but my goal, actually I may be done, I may have to remove 1 or 2 little branches, but my goal is to get this into a tree form. So it's going to be like a tree, literally a little tree with maybe 3, I'll leave 3 main branches, and then as it grows taller, I'll continue to cut the bottom branches to have it kind of in a tree form. That'll just make a statement, and also it'll allow air circulation in here with this shorter stuff that's around it. This whole row here is still the mums from last year, cutting mums. They're all coming back. Hallelujah. Because I didn't want to have to buy mums every year. Everything I read said cutting mums were annuals, but mines are coming back, so I'm gonna go with that. There's another tiny hydrangea in there, one that doesn't get too big. Oh my goodness, all of this is a stilby. All of this stuff with the burgundy-ish kind of tone to it, that is a stilby, and I think it's probably pink. I can't quite remember. I think it's pink. And then if you go all the way up there to what's supposed to be my moon garden, there's a bunch of white stilby up there. All of this again is buplorum. Buplorum is everywhere, but that's an annual, so it'll come out. I'll obviously reseed it with some that I'll let it go to seed and sprinkle it everywhere again, but it is an annual. In there behind the buplorum is that weeping red bud tree, which is getting bigger. I got it as a bare root. It literally was a stick with roots, and this is year 2, and it has a lot of leaves, so it's doing pretty well. Here's another PG, I believe, PG hydrangea, this one that I've been limbing up into a tree form. Those fluffy arborvitaes from Proven Winners are beautiful, like chartreusey green. They do need full sun, which is why they're on the side. More hydrangeas in this area, along with a bunch of roses. So the hydrangeas are looking good. You see a piece of a grass, a tall grass, a weed in there with that climbing rose. I have to get out. But all the roses except for this one are, they're looking good. They're filling out. I see buds on many of them. This Maria Stern, it's looking sad. I only see one little small leaf. It looks like it's dying. See that? My shadow is on the way. It looks like it's dying. I don't know why. Yeah, I do not know why, but if it dies, I'm gonna get it out of there, and there's enough stuff here that'll fill that space in. I don't think I'll replace it, but that was one I probably got for $5 or something at Tractor Supply or Menards. Yeah, don't overlook your big box stores or home stores, because they have some of the, they tend to have the classic varieties or the varieties of things that have been around for a while, but they're cheap. Usually you can get them for a steal. I'm also interplanting sunflowers in this row. So I succession plant sunflowers for cut flower bouquets, meaning I plant a few every couple of weeks. And so, oh goodness, my shadows are those are all sunflowers, and I plant sunflowers close together because for cutting, you don't want them to get huge. They're going to go in a bouquet. So the closer you plant them, the shorter they'll grow. So there's a few. There's some in there that are coming up. I've also been moving some of this creeping, oh goodness, sun and shadow, creeping thyme around because I wanted to fill in all these spots in between the stones. So I've been just digging up patches of it and moving it down and trying to get it to take and root. It is spring, now is the time for that. Seems to be working so far. There's a patch that I moved right there, and there's another patch that I moved, and yeah, so it's doing good. I got most of that Orlea out of here like I told you I would, because it really was taking over, and all I really have is this little patch here, which will again grow. I'll have to pull a lot of that out. There's some that snuck in here. I'm gonna pull that out because I just want it in that one spot. I have a lot of it in the back. I may pull it completely out actually, because it recedes everywhere, and it was a disaster. It was everywhere. I mean everywhere. So, okay, the lilies are all coming up. These big white lilies. Apple trees are doing well. They all have baby apples on them. I need to spray them. And what else? 9-bark. 9-bark is getting bigger. There's 2 more 9-barks in there that are smaller, but they're still growing. This mock orange is looking beautiful in this pot. Alliums are blooming right now. Actually, alliums are in full bloom. They'll be going out pretty soon. I like to dry those and use them in dry flower wreath arrangements. I put all my tomatoes up here. might sound strange. This is a flower garden, but this was a new spot that I dug up. I had space here. I needed to plant something, and the longer you wait to plant something, the more weeds will spring up in just open dirt. So I planted all my tomatoes here. There's a bunch of them. I had so many. I'm not gonna eat all these tomatoes. I just overseeded because I did not want to have another situation where they all died off or whatever the case may be, and I ended up with hardly nothing at the end of the season. So bunch of tomatoes here, and then there's a whole nother section of tomatoes over there, and then this whole section here are Lysianthus plugs, extra ones. I put most of them in my big tall raised beds in the back, but these are extras, so I just threw them here. This little patch where grass is coming up because I didn't remove the grass. This is one where I just turned it over. But gladiolas are planted here, so we should see those popping up through there, and they get pretty tall, so they'll shade out a lot of the weeds. And then, you know, once I get it mulched and everything, that will help with the weeds too. But the mulch is last on my list of things to do. And let's see, up here front, I think that's all I got going on really in the front. I don't have anything else to add, which is good. So that way I can... This is how the Kansy Tuff looks when it's done flowering. And I still like it. Like, I just love this stuff. I don't know why. I like it at every stage. It's just green with some weird little spikes on the end. It's like little spiky balls. But I love that stuff. And I will continue to grow it. Let's see. I think I covered everything up here. Okay. So, and now that I have covered the front, I will go to the back. My Fever Few is coming up. I use this as a cut flower filler. It can be a perennial. I'm not a long-lived one, but some of it I think is from last year in my garden, and some of it is the stuff that I planted this year. Dusty Miller grows so slow. Oh my God! At least from seed. I planted this from seed. It's been out here for months since it was, you know, warm enough to plant anything. This one came from seed, and it just grows like molasses. Now I see why people buy that already planted up, but I have plenty of seeds, and that's a lot cheaper, so I'm going to keep planting seeds until I have enough of it to go everywhere. I do want quite a bit of it to put over there to add that blue-white color over there. So today, it's hot already. Oh my gosh. Today my goal was to plant that Weigela over here in those couple of potted things I have over here. And then I have some lilies, white lilies, double lilies that I want to plant in this area. Bulbs and some gladiola bulbs. So I want to do that today. It is so hot already, and it's just 10 o'clock. So I don't know. I may do it this morning. I may wait until evening, but as you can see over here, that line of hydrangeas and arborvitae was here last year, but there's the purple smoke bush, and then opposite of that is going to be the gold one, and then the dappled willow and the variegated Weigela is going to go in there. I ordered more of these the white fence sections that I have on the other side. So at the front, just like the front on that side, I'm gonna add a few of these little fence sections to kind of just separate it off a little, because then it creates like it looks almost like a secret garden. It creates kind of what looks like an entryway or just something structural in there. So I'm gonna put that there, and that way I'll plant stuff in front of it and stuff behind it. These roses, they're bare roots, so you can't really see them, but they're going in a swoop here. And the reason why I have this line here is because this area inside of the line is where I want to have my bench. I ordered a little white bench, plastic, just to go with the fence, that I'm going to sit here in the middle of this. I'm going to put some stones or some pavers that lead to the bench, like a little walkway. And then all of the plants and stuff will be going in swoops. And then I'll leave a little bit of area open for like a little pathway, but that pathway is going to be all wood chips. So just so I can get in there and look at stuff and to be able to tend to stuff like pruning and weeding, I need to leave a walkway because this is a large expanse. So you got to have a way to get through it without stepping on plants once everything is in here. But I'm impressed with how far I've gotten because you can see one of the bare roots. So all the roses are white, except the two on the ends. There's one here that's pink, and it's the same one on the other end. They're a pale pink, but the others are white, and there's two white types. One is Moon Dance, and one is St. John Paul II, I believe. Yeah, and they get about 4 to 5 feet, the roses. And then over here, I'm also going to plant delphiniums, foxgloves, what else? Salvias, lavender, things you would typically see in a cottage garden. I have some of it growing from seed now. Some I'll probably be adding next year. I did move these 3 little arborvitae that I use in the back. I have a row of them in the back going kind of around the perimeter of the house, the deck area, that I was hoping for it to grow up and kind of create like a little screen, a little privacy screen. So these were extras that I had thrown in pots, and so I put them in a row. So I think this would be a nice hedge too. They grow up, and you know, however tall they get. I think they get really tall, but you know, they grow slow. So that'll be just a nice little wall there. And then I do have some little boxwoods that I can add into that are in pots still. But that is what is going on. And yeah, I've been working hard. I haven't done any weeding yet. I need to do my second level of spraying, and I still have not put up my arbor over my raised beds in the back. The pieces that go to that, I still have to do that. Look at here, we have another peony blooming. This is the first year they bloomed, because I got them as bare roots, so it took 3 years, 2-3 years for them to get established. But I can't cut them this year. It's still too early. I think this is year 2. I can start cutting them next year. But oh, the blooms on peonies are so pretty, and they're so big once they open up. But anyway, here's that other little gold smoke bush, and it came back. There was nothing there, but just a little twig sticking out of the ground, and I just thought it was dead, so I bought another one. I was going to put it there, but that one came back, which is fine because I'll put the other one in the front. I'm loving this viburnum. It's done flowering now, as you can see, but I love the texture of these leaves. Look at that. I love the white flowers on it. So that is just a beautiful statement piece that'll be tall here in the midst of all of these, which are now spent daffodils, all daffodils. And I filled in with some annuals, as I said before. But this is all daffodils, and I have more daffodils coming in the fall, so that's what I will put in the place of these annuals that are in pockets here. I'll be able to put daffodils there. There are a couple of stilbees that are perennials, so those will stay, but most of these little things you see coming up are annuals. And then, of course, I can line daffodils anywhere around the edges of these. Because that's, you know, one of the first things that blooms. So yeah, so it is coming together as I envisioned it would. And slowly but surely I'm getting rid of all this grass. I only have really this intersection and kind of around where those fruit trees are to mow, and I have a little mowing robot that I haven't set up yet because I need to finish all this, but hopefully I'll have that on the job to do that. This little strip will have to be mowed by hand because the mower can't cross the driveway. But usually my neighbor actually does this strip because the neighbor here, he has a riding mower, so he usually does that for me. So maybe he'll continue to do that, and that won't be an issue. And then my little rock garden is doing great. All that sedum, it's multiplying. It's easy to propagate. Like I said, if a piece breaks off or I break off a piece, I just stick it in the dirt and cover it with a little of the dirt, and usually like at least 50% of the time it takes. So that was my whole goal. I ended up accidentally moving a coral bell over here, which likes it. It's growing and it adds a different textural contrast, so I kind of like that. But that's all I got for the front. Okay, now I'm gonna go to the back. Bye bye. All right, I'm back with the back garden, and you know my back garden is a working garden, so consider that. Meaning it's messy, and it's going to be messy for a while because until I finish all of this renovation and creating new spaces, it's really hard for me to be meticulous about tending to what's here other than what needs to be done. So I'm hoping this is the last year I'm adding anything new. I'm kind of worn out now. But I still have to put together those little interpieces on these trellises. But most of the Lysianthus that I ordered is in these two beds. My ranunculus and anemones did not do well at all in these. I do have cucumbers planted in here that should grow up this trellis. There's a few onions in there just because I had some leftover onion sets. And then I even threw in, I think this is kohlrabi that I put here at the bottom. Yeah, I think that's kohlrabi, but you see a couple of the ranunculus are coming up there, but the blooms don't even look that good. And there's a spider. I don't know why there's a spider on that one, but okay. The rest of that is Lysianthus. Here's one that doesn't look too damaged, one Lysianthus, but I mean not Lysianthus, ranunculus. I'm done with ranunculus. This is the third year I've tried to grow them, and I've had little to no success, and they're beautiful. They look like roses, but they should be blooming earlier, obviously, than roses like now. But I can't get them to do anything for me. So I am going to give it up. I've spent a lot of money and time trying to grow ranunculus. So everything back here is pretty much the same except for it's filling out. The only thing I really want to show is my new little setup with my fountain. Lots of the peonies are flowered up and starting to bloom, but again, like I said, I can't really cut those. So I got my Virgin Mary statue, which I was very happy about. May is the month of Mary, the tribute to Mary, and so it's great to have that there. It's a quiet reflection spot to pray, especially pray the rosary. This is where I like to do that. Yeah. So I moved this little old bench I had back here. This is the other battery operated fountain, and I don't have it leveled yet because I just moved it again. So I have to level it out. But that one is more of a cement color, and I like it there. The sound of the water. I got my statue. I got all of this beautiful stuff to look at. And it is beautiful back here, even though I haven't weeded. Over here, I tend to keep this fairly well weeded because I pull them as they go, and this is where a lot of my fruit and stuff is, so I tend to pay more attention to the areas where my food is growing. But oh, look at this pink peony. It has bloomed. First time I've ever seen this bloom. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, I can't wait till I can start cutting these things. I got a lot of peonies. The clematis, this purple clematis that I got from Walmart. I always say that, Walmart for $3.50. So I'm so proud because it was $3.50 and it's so pretty. But as you can see, that thing is going up and blooming from the bottom up. And then I did plant a hyacinth bean vine, which I hope doesn't get crowded out. I hope that's able to grow because I've never grown that before. It's an annual, and I wanted to see what that would look like. It's a vine. So strawberries are in full glory of bloom and setting berries everywhere, as you can see. Amen. There are little green berries all over the place. It has flowered everywhere. There are so many, and these are ever bearing. So usually in the summer I get like a bowl full every other day, which is enough for me. But they've gone everywhere because I let them root because I have them in bags. But you know, you need to replace those every so many years, and with them being in bags, I think they wear out sooner in the bags. So I just let them root, or I cut off little pieces and root it myself. But at the end of the season, what I'll do is I'll take some of the runners and I'll put them back in the bags. So it just continues this cycle because I want to keep it contained to, you know, between here and there. I don't need any more strawberries than that, plus I have a lot of other stuff here. So I have currants, I have gooseberries, all that stuff is doing what it's supposed to do. No complaints. This side is looking great. these are gooseberries. Let's see if I can show you. Oh, look at that. Those are good. They are very thorny. You see these thorns? They're worse than roses. And those are soft thorns. They're not even got hard yet, but they get hard. And man, you got to be careful. But those gooseberries are good. And I like to make jam out of them usually. It's what I do. And then, like I said, I got currants back here. And aronia berries. Not aronia berries. I pulled those out. Lingonberries. So that's all this is. Wait a minute, jostaberries. Yeah, jostaberries. I have not had a jostaberry yet, though. They've not actually given me fruit yet. There's 2 jostaberries back here. There were 2 aronia berries, and those were the ones I pulled out because they gave me fruit, and it was had high taste of tannins in it. It was disgusting, and I didn't want anything to do with it. So those are gone. And you know, I planted. I got all these $2 blueberries from clearance at Walmart. And I've planted them, and we'll see what they do. They aren't dead yet, so I have them in these little cages. And then I did get a couple of new peonies, I believe. One there, and there's one over here. Not from Walmart, but I got those separately. And then there's a few shrubs over here, the same stuff that's been over here. But it's all looking good. It's the only point I wanted to make about this. It's all green, it's all lush. My carrots are even growing. My sugar snap peas and snow peas are growing, but these things are growing slow that are supposed to be cool weather crops. I'm planting dahlias today is my plan. It's warm enough now, so the dahlias are going to go in containers. Dahlias are going to go here. There's marigolds around the edge. Dahlias in here, dahlias in here. Some dahlias that I had from last year where I say the tubers are already out in here and there, and that one over there, and one way over there. So yeah, my goal is to get the dahlias out today. Let's see. These are my new rosemaries that I grew basically from seed, or either I took a cutting from the bigger ones, but these are going to replace the other ones. And so these will need to go back inside in the fall. And I'm not sure if I'll put these in the ground or not. Because if I put them in the ground, I have to dig them up and put them back in the pot. But they may get too big for these little pots, so we'll have to see. These are more seeds that I need to get out. A lot of these are sunflowers, and then a lot of snapdragons, which haven't come up, which is surprising because snapdragons usually come up pretty quickly. But yeah, the sunflowers at least have come up, and I need to get those out and plant it. Yeah, no, have any of the snapdragons come up? And zinnias. More zinnias. I have a few zinnia plants in the front, but I need more. Those are another one that you need to really grow in succession. This is my cut flower patch, which right now the only thing that's blooming is a bunch of columbine, which I've been cutting. Oh, I love this stuff. It does not last but no more than 2-3 days in a vase, but it is just so pretty. And this Barlow mix is what I use. It's a mix of different colors. It gets tall. Usually columbine is a very small plant, so it gets tall enough where you can cut it and put it in a vase. Over here you see Sweet William is flowering, and I thought that I just planted this in the fall. So I'm not sure. I think maybe the Sweet William I got is a first year flowering. I guess they make that now. Because all the other Sweet William I've planted has taken 2 years to flower, and that is flowering. I just planted in fall, like I said, so year 1. I do have some snapdragons here, my first batch that I planted, intermingled with my hellebores. I got a bunch of hellebores. But those will stay short, you know, those bloom in the winter, and I just planted those. And then I got cosmos in here as well. My one big lavender that I'm actually going to try to propagate soon, because that one grows, whatever variety that is, it grows really well. And I want to get more of that going. And then lots of beulah again from when I you know, dropped the seeds everywhere, like I said. More of it here. I'm going to have more beulah than I know what to do with. And a lot of the Orlea bloomed short. Just like I told you about my tulips, the same thing happened with the Orlea. It blooms really short in stature. It's apparently did not like these weather changes we were having. So I'm not sure what flower this is in here, but there is a flower there. Verbascum is here. I have one. It gets big, the leaves, but the bloom unfortunately doesn't last that long in a vase. At least mine hasn't. Maybe again 3 days. But I had lots of seeds, so I'm still growing it, and it's still pretty. I like a spiky plant flower like that. This is probably larkspur, this whole section. A lot of larkspur over there that's growing. Delphiniums, I've already harvested maybe 2 or 3, but this is my stand. Delphinium is a perennial here, so this stand comes back and gets bigger every year. So I have to dig some of that up. Maybe I'll move some of this actually to the new spot in the front to thin it out a little. I may do that after it's done blooming. I don't want to mess with it before it blooms. Oh, there's a butterfly and a dragonfly. Okay, first poppy of the season. My poppies don't do well. I try to grow them because I like them, especially the bread seed ones where you can like use the pod after the flower blooms. I never get them to grow well. But look, my first poppy of the season. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Yeah, so this is a little stand of poppies. I planted a whole half a row of poppies, and you can see that is all I have. And then there's one poppy in there, but that's all that came up. Here are some onions that came up from years ago when this was my vegetable patch. These onions are still coming up. Even potatoes are still trying to come up here, and I'm constantly pulling them out because they don't belong back here. Here's my little stand of yarrow. As you can see, I got like 4 yarrow plants, which is more than enough. As long as I get 1 white one and 1 pink one, I'm happy. Those are the 2 colors I like. Yellow grows really well. I don't mind a yellow one, but I don't need more than 1 of each of 3 colors because it's gonna spread, it's gonna reseed, it's gonna be everywhere, and I'm gonna be trying to keep it confined to this spot. So I learned my lesson with yarrow. I don't mess with that stuff too much. Same with the Orlea, as you can see, is taken over here. But that's all I got going on over here. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. This has to be weeded. Again, this is my cut flower field, so this is a working field. It's not meant for display. Over here are the little blueberries and raspberries that I just put in that stay pretty small. I do need to move this rose. This is a flavorette rose. It's apricot something, but these flavorette roses are by Proven Winners. They now have a pear one too that I just ordered, but it's supposed to have an apricot like flavor. These were bred specifically to be eaten. All roses are edible, but these were bred to, I guess, have a more fruit-like taste than floral. Like other roses taste more like a flower, like a floral-y taste. These are supposed to taste more like fruit. And so I did not realize, I looked this one up recently, and it gets 6 feet tall. So it has to go. It cannot be in the front of the row, and it cannot be right here in the middle of the walkway because it's going to have thorns. So that's going to go in the front. I'm digging that up today. Let's see. Potatoes are doing well in these pots. I got more dahlias in there, a bunch of marigolds. I can put dahlias in the center of those marigold pots. Lots of onions because they store well for me, so I always grow lots of onions and garlic. Potatoes, it's like they need water. These little ball ones that I can move, I'll be able to move those into the ground up front somewhere. Oh, the only thing I didn't point out, see, the Orlea is even all the way over here. I did not plant it over here, so I didn't plant it anywhere near here. It is all the way on the opposite side, so it goes everywhere. This is my lady's mantle here, which is a perennial, but it's these beautiful yellow flowers on the end, and this can be used. They don't get super tall, at least mine's haven't. Maybe as the years go on it'll get taller, but I plan to use it as filler in the cut flower. And I got a lot of all the grassy types of things here, like the bunny ears. That type of filler flower is going on here. And also these little asters that are perennials are here, which make a beautiful cut flower as well, but they tend to not bloom until like closer to the fall, it seemed last year. What's here? All of my berries, which, oh, my blackberries are flowering. Yay! Look at that. Very excited. These blackberries do well. They're thornless, and usually I'm again able to pick a little bowl of those every week. So they grow pretty well. I put a bunch of annuals here. I don't know if it's black-eyed Susans or something, but there's little annual starts. I planted here and then it stopped, and who knows what I'm gonna plant down here. It's just open space. I might do zinnias, put those zinnia starts there or something. But anywho, grapes are in the back and they are leafing out, so I'm happy about that. The grapes produce for me. So far really I've just made jam or jelly. I haven't done much. They've been they only started producing like last summer, so I haven't had a ton of them, but they are producing, so that makes me happy. This is a Rose of Sharon. I think that's a white one that's just starting to grow. That does not belong there, but that looks like some kind of flower, some kind of cosmo or something. I gotta pull that out. My cherry tree. I'm just hoping I can get some cherries off of this sucker. I need to spray it as well. I have not pruned the trees in the back. I need to do that. And I need to spray it. You know, fruit trees are complicated. There's so many pests that want them. There's so many diseases that want them. Like you're constantly guarding them. My asparagus patch is flowering, which is what it does. Inside of this thing is brassicas, which are growing very slowly. My concern with things that are supposed to grow in the cold weather is that they'll bolt and I won't get anything. But I put like broccolis and cauliflowers in here. There might be some collard greens in here. Or it may just be all broccoli and cauliflower. I'm not sure. I actually have a little space here. I'm going to plant some collard greens in here probably. And maybe some Swiss chard or some spinach. Because I can never have too many leafy greens, it seems. Lots of herbs in here and garlic. That is pretty much what's here. All of this is garlic. All that is garlic. All that is garlic. And then herbs. And the second half of this plot is my cut flower fields of perennials. So what you see are the remains of the tulips that will return next year. Have to let all that die off. You can't cut it. Alliums, all my alliums, the purple ones are in full bloom. I have some shorter alliums over here, and I'm not sure what variety they are, but they're not very tall, so they're not really going to be very helpful for cut flower arrangements. And I'm not sure what color they are even. These little white ones, I don't know the name of them, but I like them. I want to kind of get more of this. It's a dainty little one, but it's so pretty. This, okay, here's one that's blooming. It's pink, and it's huge. I don't know if that was Schuberti or something like that, but we'll see how that one looks. I don't know if that one is one I would use in a cut flower arrangement, but that might be one for a dry flower arrangement for sure. I do have my squash in here. It's very tiny. It's here. I don't know where I put the summer squash, somewhere else. But this is another, I can't remember the variety, but this is another allium that has kind of a little fall on the end. You can see that flower. But that one's pretty. So I got several of those. This is a chive plant that my chives flower really early. Usually they stay chives until it gets too hot, then they flower. This year they grew to a certain height and then they just flowered completely. So I don't know if that means it was just the weather or if it means I should dig those out and start new chive plants. I do not know, but right now that's the least of my concerns because I don't use chives that often. They're just more here as ornamental and to keep critters away because they don't like the smell. This came back from last year and I don't know what it is. It's either feverfew or straw flower or something like that. A lot of the gladiolas that I first started planting are popping up. See that one there? But so yeah, I've been planting like, 10 of those every week or so, or every 2 weeks, to try to stagger those. There are more of those white alliums that I love. Yeah, those are just so pretty. I'm gonna have to get more of those. I just got a few because I didn't think I'd be using them in any cut flower arrangements because they were so dainty. I thought they would just be here for, landscape, but I like them so much. I gotta look up the variety so I can order more columbine. This columbine has been here for 3 years, and it's look at it, it's full of flowers. And I believe with columbine you can cut it halfway, like halfway through the season, cut half of it off, and I think it might reflower again. I may have read that. There is one hydrangea over here that's doing okay. This is my privet. It's filling in. I like another chartreuse shrub, so I like that. And then my jasmine, look at that. It has flowers everywhere, and they're yellow, and they smell wonderfully sweet. And soon they will all flower. This is a proven winners, and I planted this in the fall or summer of last year, and look at it's all the way at the top of that tour. And if I had something taller, it probably would keep going, but hopefully my goal is for it to just kind of drape back down now that it's reached the top. But it's beautiful, oh my gosh, and it smells so good over here when that thing flowers. Love it, love it, love it. And it's one that doesn't grow out of control. Like I said, it's a proven winter, so it's supposed to stay pretty short. My figs, as I've said before, there's lots of new growth at the bottom, but I don't know if anything will ever make it to maturity on these fig trees, because everything wants to die back down to the ground every season. There's lots of lilies over here too. These lilies I have tended to use for cut flower arrangements. I do have pollenless, a lot of pollenless ones, and even the ones that have pollen, I just pull the anthers out, because you don't want that pollen to spill on anything. It will stain, like in your house, if it spills on your tablecloth or something like that. And then the only other new thing over here is that the Sweet William is starting to bloom, and I got a lot of white I can see, which I like the paler color flowers there. I'm leaning more towards those instead of the bright colors, so I'm leaning more towards the whites and the light pinks and things like that. So I'm very happy with all this white Sweet William. It's a great filler flower. I see it as a filler flower. There are some dark pinks coming up too, but it's mostly white. Oh look, there's another peony, the one that I forgot to dig out when I was removing them all from this area, because this area doesn't get a lot of sun. It's staying because it's blooming now and it seems to be happy, so unless it gets unhappy, I'll probably leave it. And then I just put some netting, because this is a whole stand of Sweet William and I didn't want it to fall over, which is what it will tend to do. It's so compacted here and up against this fence that I'm not really worried about it falling here, but the dogs like to jump over this fence and go in there, so I was worried about this falling. And then back there are more stands of Sweet William that I just planted, because again, with it being a biennial, I plant some each season that I can plant. So I plant some in the spring, I plant some in the fall, I plant some in the spring and the fall. And so that's probably either I planted that in the fall or I just planted that this spring. I'm not sure, but that's not gonna, I don't know. Like I said, it seems to be blooming first year now, so maybe that's going to bloom too, or maybe it's going to wait till next year. No idea. But there are alliums sprinkled in here too. And that is all. I'm not going to show you the fruit patch because it needs to be mowed. And it's looking wild. It needs to be mowed and weeded. And there's no fruit going on yet. It's just greenery. So that is the backyard. It's a lot of work keeping all of this going, and that's why I'm so happy I'm almost complete with the front, where there's no more space to really make beds, because I have more than I can handle now. And then I can focus from next year going forward. My focus can be just on tending to what I have instead of digging and planting more stuff. So the only thing I have to plant obviously are annuals, things that aren't hardy here each season, but the perennials will all be set, the beds will all be set, so there will be no growth. I'm not planning any growth beyond this. This is more than enough for one person. Keeps me busy. I don't have to work out because I get enough exercise during the spring, summer, and fall The winter was really the only time that I actually have to do any formal exercise. So that is the complete tour of the front and the back. And this may be broken up into 2 videos, but that's okay. When I come back, it will be the beginning of June, most likely. And by then, this will have changed tremendously, I'm sure. Yeah. And the front will be filled in a little bit more, that new section I made. So there'll be a lot to look at then too. But it's beautiful. It's so lush and green. It just feels like when I'm in my gardens, it really feels like I'm removed from the city, which is what I wanted. And it feels serene and calm, like I'm in a park almost, or out in the country. It just feels like a whole different environment than the day-to-day grind, if you know what I mean. So that is all I have for today, and I hope you all have a wonderful May, and I'll see you in June. Bye bye.